Brady Lowry never saw it coming. One moment he was warning his friend about a pile of bear scat. The next he was airborne, tossed like a ragdoll by a force of nature. The grizzly bear, a 500-pound behemoth, had struck with lightning speed, its massive paws sending Brady hurtling through the air. He landed hard, the breath knocked out of him as the bear loomed over him, ready to finish what it had started. 50 feet away, Kendall Cummings watched in horror, his heart pounding, every instinct screaming at him to run. But Kendall couldn't abandon Brady, not after the bond they'd forged in just 6 weeks. Brady and Kendall were an unlikely pair at Northwest College, yet they clicked instantly. Brady, a 2-time Utah High School state wrestling champion and JUCO All-American, had returned to the team after a year away, his eyes set on reclaiming glory. Kendall, a sophomore still vying for a spot in the lineup, brought grit and determination to every practice. As wrestling partners, they'd spent hours twisting each other into knots, sweating and bleeding on the mat, only to pull each other up with a grin. It was violence tempered by forgiveness, a ritual that welded them together faster than most friendships form in years. Beyond the gym, they shared a passion for the outdoors, especially shed hunting, scouring the wilderness for antlers shed by elk, moose, and deer. A good haul could fetch 200, maybe 500 on a lucky day, enough to fuel a college kid's dreams. On October 15th, they set out with teammates Gus Harrison and Orrin Jackson for the Bobcat Houlihan Trail near Yellowstone. The 45-minute drive was filled with laughter, the group ribbing Gus for his bright red sweatshirt, a beacon in the wild, they teased, perfect for attracting trouble. The day unfolded like an adventure novel. They hiked nearly 15 miles, traversing jagged rock and dense thickets where trees and shrubs tangled into a natural maze. As sunset neared, they split into pairs, pointing toward a distant rock where they'd regroup in an hour. Brady and Kendall climbed higher while Gus and Orrin stayed below, their voices fading into the wilderness hum. Up the mountain, the brush grew so thick it swallowed the ground beneath their feet. Kendall trailed 50 feet behind when Brady's voice pierced the quiet. "Hey, watch out for this big pile of bear scat." A roar drowned out the rest. Before Brady could shout bear, the grizzly was on him, its paws slamming into his chest. He flew 30 yards, tumbling across the rocky earth as the bear charged alongside, clawing at him relentlessly. Kendall stood frozen, staring at the bear's back as it mauled his friend. Grizzlies ruled the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, their ferocity unmatched, 500 pounds of muscle and fury capable of crushing bone with a single bite. Running was pointless. The bear could hit 30 miles an hour, yet leaving Brady wasn't an option. Kendall's mind flashed to their wrestling matches, grinding each other down, then lifting each other up. Brady had maybe 30 seconds before the bear ended him. He shouted at the grizzly. Nothing. He hurled a stick, then a rock, striking its flank. The bear didn't flinch, locked in kill mode. Desperation surged through Kendall. He sprinted forward and leapt onto the bear's back, yanking its fur with all his might. The grizzly paused, startled, and Kendall let go, bolting away, hoping to buy Brady a moment to escape. But grizzlies don't relent. It spun, took 2 strides, and pounced on Kendall, knocking him down. Its jaws clamped onto his head, teeth sinking into flesh as it shook him violently. Kendall shoved his arms into its mouth, shielding his face, but the bear bit again and again. Blood poured, pain seared, and Kendall went limp, certain this was the end. The bear lingered, then lumbered off, leaving him broken in the dirt. Brady, battered but alive, clawed his way upright. His left arm dangled, the bone shattered by the bear's bite. He fumbled for his phone, dialed 911, and waved toward Gus and Orrin, their figures faint below, Gus's red sweatshirt a lifeline in the chaos. As the bear turned on Kendall, Brady stumbled toward help, fearing his friend was gone. Kendall wasn't dead, though. He barely clung to life. The bear returned, nudging him with its paw, trying to roll him over. His antler-laden backpack pinned him on his side, thwarting the bear's efforts. Later he'd learn it was likely covering him with dirt to save him as a meal. When it wandered off, Kendall unhooked the pack and crawled away, blood streaming. Adrenaline his only fuel. He staggered down the trail, calling for Brady when he heard it, the crash of brush. The bear was back. Gus arrived then, gun raised, a streak of red against the green. He found Kendall, hoisted him onto his shoulders, and ran. They met Brady and Orrin halfway, the group limping to a clearing where an ambulance waited. Brady, overwhelmed, couldn't look at Kendall at first, but relief flooded him. His friend had survived. Kendall was airlifted to Billings, Montana, for emergency surgery while Brady went to a hospital in Powell. Both had defied the odds. In Billings, they shared a room, their injuries a grim tally. Brady's arm needed multiple surgeries. Kendall's head and face required 60 staples and grafts. Yet their spirits held. They griped about thirst, banned from drinking before surgery, and when Kendall craved a Bahia Blast from Taco Bell, Brady's dad, Dallas, dashed out to get it. Sipping the green nectar, Kendall grinned through the pain, a small triumph amid the wreckage. Recovery stretched long and brutal, but they leaned on each other. Brady returned to wrestling, his determination unshaken, while Kendall cheered from the sidelines, still healing. Months later, they ventured back into the Wyoming woods, not to the attack site, but close. Armed with guns and bear spray, they walked side by side, necks prickling at every sound. Finding an elk carcass, they tossed stones and scanned the brush before moving on. A quiet victory in reclaiming their wild. Brady qualified for the Inchcon Nationals, finishing 5th with a 5-6 record, an All-American against all logic 4 months after the attack. Kendall, sidelined but healing, plans to wrestle next season. They got tattoos, Brady a grizzly's face, Kendall a paw print, marks of survival and brotherhood. Their mantra, move forward, carried them through loss and triumph, from the mat to the wilderness and back. Their story is raw and real, two friends facing nature's wrath, bound by courage and sacrifice. They walked into a grizzly's domain, met its fury, and emerged scarred but stronger, their lives forever linked by that October day when loyalty outweighed fear.